Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are finishing up the April virtual crop sketches, and we are visiting a sheep farm where we got to play with a bunch of really cute little sheep. It's super fun, and I think this layout is really nice as it comes together. So it will, hopefully it'll work well. And let's check out my workspace and we'll get started.
All right, so this is my workspace for today, and you'll recognize this as the right-hand side of the layout that we did on last week. This is the last layout that we did last week. So we are going to continue on as we work our way around Dingle and the Slayhead Drive that goes kind of around the peninsula or the point there that Dingle sits on. So today we're going to do April's virtual crop sketch number 3. And this is the last one from April that I need to catch up on. So we're going to do this as a double page sketch. And I've pulled 3 papers from the On the Farm collection, which you might remember from a while back. Let me see if I can give you an idea when that came out, because I don't really remember. Oh, 2023. So that's when this one came out, and we're going to use these 3 papers to do this layout and some other embellishments from that collection. Because today we are doing pictures of sheep. So if you're not familiar with Ireland enough to know, there's sheep throughout the island. One of their main staples that they eat is mutton and lamb, and so there are sheep just all over. And our tour guide held or brought us to this place where we could feed and hold baby lambs, which was, you wouldn't think that, grown people that have probably done this before at some point in their life would get excited about it, but it was so fun. We had such a good time, and they were so sweet and so soft. Really, really a neat experience. So I'll tell you more about that when we get to the end of the video. But for now, I've got 3 pieces of paper. One of them we're going to use to mat. The other 2 we're going to use to create this layout. So I'm going to grab first of all, I'm going to go ahead and just move the pictures and the pages out of the way for a moment. We'll get back to them in a bit. And for now, we're just going to cut some paper. So I need, so my, this wood paper is going to be the paper we're going to use to mat with. So I'm going to use the yellow and the green predominantly. And the green we are going to cut first at 8 inches so that we have a 10 by 8 piece and a 2 by 8 piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this. Let's see, I could just go ahead and move my arm out and cut it at 10, and then that way I've got the 2 inches off the top right away. So we'll just go ahead and cut, lining this up at the 10-inch mark. So we've got that 2-inch piece that we'll set aside, but we're not probably going to use this 2-inch piece. We'll see. It's got veggies on the back, and I don't think we're going to really do the veggie thing. We're just going to go with the green, because it kind of reminded me of looking through a fence. And so just kind of a fun thing. Now we need 2 inches off of this piece. We need a piece that's 2 by 8. And I made that 10 inches. Hold on a second. What am I doing? Okay, so this is 10 inches this way, and I need it to be 10 by 8. So I need an 8-inch piece. Am I losing my mind? No, I think I'm still with it. Okay, so 10 inches this way by 8 inches this way. And that will get us what we need here. That's for the left-hand side. And then we need a 2-inch piece that's 2 by 8. So we'll cut this. Actually, I'm going to leave this size. We'll use this one because it's 2 inches already. And we need that to be 8 inches long. So we'll move this out and cut it at 8 inches. I think I confused myself just a second ago. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, so 2 by 8. That'll be on the right-hand side. This piece is extra, and so is this. For now, we're just going to set those aside. Then I'm going to grab this yellow sheet, and I need a piece that is 8 by 12 first off. So we're going to cut a piece here that is 8 by 12. The other side is just sunflowers, and they're kind of all scattered, so no directional. I don't have a directional pattern on either side of this, which is nice. So we're going to do 8 by 12, and that's going to be this panel right here. And then we're going to cut this strip right here out of the sunflowers side. So we want a 1-inch strip, a 1 by 12. And we're going to take that 1 by 12 and we're going to trim off 2 inches so that 2 inches can go on this with this strip right here. So we're going to have this with this and this with this. And we've got this. I don't have a base paper that I'm working with here. I'm just going to have it be the naked page behind it. And so we'll have the Spargo page underneath these other papers. All right. Okay, so I know that I have 2 photos that are going to each need a 3-inch frame. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a strip that's 3 inches from this wood grain paper. And I know that because I've already cut those photos to size. So I'm going to have 2 that are going to be framed with a 3 by 3 square. And that'll be over here on this side. The rest of the photos that are going on this layout are a little bit trickier to manage because they are not the sizes that are um, in the sample here. So I'm going to put my layout together and then we'll figure out the rest of the mats. This punched piece right here, rather than punching something, I'm going to use this layered border that came with the On the Farm collection because we've got sunflowers here, and sunflowers really are a big deal over in Europe. They are really celebrated over there, so, or at least in Germany they are, and in Ireland I think we saw quite a few of them. So I'm going to use this, and we will trim about 2 inches off of this so that it will fit on this side. So I'm just going to use this end. I think it will work best to do that. And I'm just going to try to make it as straight a cut as possible so that I can line that up when I reassemble things. Okay, so that's going to go here. This one's going to go here. All right, so let me grab my pages and we will get to assembling these. Okay, so here's my first page. We're going to do the left page first. And let me just put all of this stuff kind of together and up there in the corner. And we'll get this put together here. Okay, so we've got this section, which is 8 inches, and then we've got a 1-inch piece that fits right on top of it. So essentially, we've got 9 inches this way. 9 from 12 leaves us 3 inches, so that'll be 1.5 inches on the top, 1.5 inches on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to this piece. It just helps me gauge where my paper is going to go. Okay, so I'm going to put the hinges towards me. This is the center of the album. And then line my page up on my mat so that I can see and gauge better where that 1.5 inch mark is. Okay, so I'm going to have 1.5 inches from the bottom, and that's where I'm going to line this up because I'm going to add another piece to the top. So we're going to go with 1.5 inches there. Then I'm going to grab this sunflower piece and we'll add adhesive to the top and the bottom, and then straight down the middle just to keep it from shifting around. Okay, and then this piece is going to go right on the top. Right up next to that green piece. And then we're going to take the sunflowers and these are going to go across that seam, kind of right in the middle, all the way across. Okay, so that's that left side of the page. Then we're going to come in with the right side of the page. And we'll take this yellow piece first. I put my adhesive in about 5 places when I'm doing a 12-inch piece of paper. All right, and the hinges are here on the left, so I'm going to go ahead and place this piece of paper right up against the jeeping, right up against that double thickness where the hinges are located. So no gap there. Smooth it out. Then we're going to take that 8 by 2-inch piece and this is the bottom edge of my layout. So I'm going to go with placing that at 1.5 inches. Right up against the yellow floral paper. Just like that. Okay. Then we're going to come in with the sunflower paper, just like we did before. Got my adhesive right onto the edge, so it's sticking out just a teeny little bit. Okay, so that's going to go there, and then we'll get this bit, and I think I'm just going to trim off this little bit of green because it's not critical and it looks a little funky there since we don't have the rest of it. Okay, so that's going to just line up right against the yellow there too. All right, so here is our layout. And now let's get our photos going. Now remember I said I don't have these 2 vertical photos and 2 horizontal photos. The way my photos needed to lay out, I actually have 4 horizontal photos that are going to go over here, 2 vertical photos and a horizontal photo that are going to go here, and these 2. And that's the way we're going to get that put together. So it's going to be a little bit different, but it should work. And the only thing I'm not sure about is whether I'm going to want to mat something. So we'll see. We'll see what comes of this. So these 2 mats right here are going to be these 2 cute pictures of my mama. And I think I'm going to need to trim that photo. But these 2 I think are okay. I just wasn't sure size-wise. And what we do know for sure is that is not going to mat any of our photos because it is too skinny. But that's okay. All right, while I'm thinking about this, I'm going to go ahead and just add these to their mats, these 2 little photos. And these 2 little photos, the mat is cut at 3 by 3. The photos are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. In the on the sketch, they have you cut the mat at 3 inches and cut the photo at 2.5 by 2.5. And you can do that if you want a wider mat, then you need to either make the mat wider if you want a bigger picture, or you need to make the mat smaller. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's see. I think it would be fun to do at least 2 of these pictures in a mat. Maybe we could do these 2, and then maybe do this one up here with a mat. And then that way it would be kind of more even. That's my thought anyway. Okay, these photos over here, in order to make them fit, they are 3 by 4.5. Okay, and we're only going to do just a very narrow mat on those. So we're going to do a 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. So let's do 3 1/4. Am I doing that right? Yeah. 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to cut a strip that is, no, I'm doing it wrong. Okay, hang on. I want my wood grain to go up and down. That's how I have it on these photos over here. So I want to be able to do, I want this to be 4 3/4. But just so that I don't mess up and not have enough paper, let's check this one. So this picture is 5 1/4. So I would need a 5.5 inch wide piece for this one. So let's cut this at 5.5 inches, because I think then I could get all 3 mats from this one piece. So we'll cut this at 5.5, 5.5, and this is 4. Yeah. So 4 1/4. 4 1/4. So that's that mat right there. And then we have 3 4 3/4 by 3 1/4, right? That's what we said. 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. 4 3/4. So we're going to cut it going this way with the grain up and down. We're going to cut that at 4 3/4. That piece will be extra. Then we're going to turn it and cut 2 at 3 1/4. There's 1, and here is 2. 3 1/4. All right, and then I have, oh, these are opposite. We're gonna do those two, that, and then I don't think, yeah, that's not gonna be wide enough to do anymore, but that's okay. I think we'll be all right with just matting a couple. So let me go ahead and get these photos put on here, and then I'm going to show you how to make sheep. So um, if you don't have embellishments that match the theme of your page, you can sometimes make your own embellishments. So that's what we're going to do today, just because I thought it would be fun. And I was playing with some paper the other day, and you do it too, I think. Let me know if you do it too. I want to know that I'm not crazy, right? I like to play with my paper and my punches, see what I can come up with. Especially if I'm just using scraps anyway. It's kind of fun. All right, so we've got these two and these two, this one and these two. All right, let's get these nailed down, so to speak. All right, so this, yeah, I think, no, we need to move this way. So what I'm playing with is I'm lining up the photos, but the mats are not going to line up, but the photos will be lined up. I hope that makes sense. So the photos will match each other and be on the same line, but the mats are going to be off just a little bit. That's okay. I think that works. Then everything lines up well. All right. This gentleman was the owner of the property, and he stood there with his sheepdog and talked with us and visited, which was so lovely. He was really very fun to talk to, and his son actually, I think, kind of was running things. He was just sort of there to visit with all of us and hang out and talk to us about his dog and his sheep. But his son was the one that helped us with different things. So literally we walked up this rather steep driveway from the road, and this house right here I think is their residence, and over here is their barn. And they told us to go ahead and go on in the barn, and his son was standing inside the barn in this area with these sheep, and he literally would just pick up one of these babies and hand them to us. And he was so very fast about it. We just had our arms out, and he would just put the sheep in our arms and move on to the next person, and told us to go on outside and that we would find bottles, and they handed us bottles and said if you could feed them, they're hungry. So We fed them 1 or 2 bottles, and man, they guzzled them down super, super fast. And these are just like baby bottle size bottles. And they were delighted to eat these that were behind the fence. We didn't feed the babies we were holding, but these that were behind the fence were only too eager to make our acquaintance, as you can imagine. And they were all very sweet. All right. So here's my sample of how I decided I could make a sheep. And he's a little bit funky, but I think he's cute. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. And we're going to use him and maybe a couple of brothers and sisters on our layout today. So I have these 2 punches. These are smaller than our normal size punches, but they are super fun to work with. This one, I'm trying to remember which one this came in. This was not part of the trio of any of the trios that we've had. This was a separate punch, and so was this one. This is the word bubble punch. And it's not a huge word bubble. It's like maybe an inch across. So not big, right? But it was it is just the right size for what we're going to do today. And then I also used, let me just grab it because I thought I had everything I needed, but I don't. I believe. Yeah. Okay. So this is the ornament, the festive ornament, create a punch. And we're going to use this oval right here for our purposes today. So I'm going to punch 2 ovals for each of the sheep that I want to put together. 2 of these small little ovals. I'm just going to do 2 because I'd like 3 sheep total. Okay. And then I need 2 of these conversation bubbles. So we're going to punch I need 1 for each of the sheep that I'm going to make. And I need 1 of each of these, I don't know what you'd call these, a star bubble, maybe? It reminds me of the old Batman and Robin TV series and their cronk, ouch, things that they would have on the side of the screen as they were fighting. That's what it reminds me of. Okay, so there's those. And let's see, what other pieces do I need? I need a couple of short strips. So I'm going to use my scissors. We don't need a lot, but I need 4 pieces for each sheep. So I'm just going to, and they don't have to be precise by any means. I'm going to just come in here and cut 4 strips for each of the lambs that we're going to make. And I lost track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need 1 more so that our lambs each have 4 legs. And I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive. And I'm going to use some foam squares. All right, so first thing we're going to do is make the body. So I'm going to bring my conversation bubble and my bam bubbles over here. You like that bam bubble? I think that kind of works. I'm going to put a foam square in the middle of each of these conversation bubbles. Okay, then I'm going to take off the adhesive cover. I'm going to take this bam bubble and I'm very specifically going to place this so that these 2 points are pointing down. You can arrange it however makes sense to you, but and I suppose it would make sense that not all of them would be the same. But for me, it seems like these 2 main points need to kind of be pointing down, and I'm just going to sort of center it over that bubble. Okay. And you also need to kind of keep in mind where that little curly Q is. That's going to be where your head goes. So this one's going to be facing the opposite way, which is fine because that's what I want. And this one is also going to be facing the opposite way because that's how I ended up building him. But you can build him however you want. Okay, so we're just going to add those on, and they're a little bit different for each sheep. Okay, then we're going to take this guy, and actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think this guy may be a little bit small, but I'm going to be okay with that. They're not all going to be the same. This is going to be one of the heads, and we're going to just place that right here to kind of cover that little curly Q up. Okay, so kind of like that. Then we're going to take each one of these extra ovals, I'm going to cut in half. And then I'm going to take each one of these halves, and from that flat line, I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch into it. Halfway, and so from the middle point, I'm cutting towards the oval edge about 1/4 of an inch. And just cutting and making a straight cut. All right, and I'm doing that because I'm going to make the ear curve just a tiny bit. I'm going to put plenty of adhesive on that edge. Okay, then I'm going to pull one half forward and push the other half back and push them towards each other. And that's going to make that ear curve just a tiny bit. We don't want a ton of a curve. We just want a little bit of a curve. Okay, and be careful how you push that down because you don't want all the adhesive to come off on your finger. We only want a little bit. Okay, and this is going to go behind the head like that. And I'm going to do the same thing with this second one. Okay, this one I'm going to actually curve the other side over top. Just kind of press it together with my fingernails so that I'm not pulling all the adhesive off onto my finger. Okay, and this one I'm going to put on the other sheep. Use my fingernail to push that down. Okay, then we're going to do this other one. So we're going to cut it in half and then do those slits in the center. And I did 2 ears kind of behind the head, but I don't know. I kind of think maybe it might look better if we had 1 ear kind of in front. So this is what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to cut this. I cut that centerpiece. I'm just going to kind of make it go all the way to the end and curve it just a little. And we're going to make that one of the ears. And I'm going to take another piece of foam square. I'm going to cut one of the small foam squares in half so I have more of a strip. And let's see, I want it to be so the flat side is towards the back. I think that's how I want it. I don't know, we'll see. And I'm just gonna stick him kind of right. Oh, that doesn't look quite like I was hoping. I think maybe the foam square needed to be on the other side. Let's see if I can move it. Probably not, because when these things go down, they go down for life. Okay, hang on, let's go ahead and so we said we didn't, I said I didn't like it this way. But I don't know if I like it this way either. I'm going to use these precision point scissors because they're going to, I think, be a little bit more friendly to my plea. And I'm just going to shape that ear just a little bit more, and that way I don't have to worry about a side that's flat. How's that? How do you like them apples? Ah, always drop the tiny little pieces. Do you do that? I always drop them. And they don't just drop in my lap, they drop all the way to the floor. Okay. So this little guy, and it probably would be good to do some inking on him so that he has more of a shadow, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to sort of stick that ear on there. Hope for the best. Okay. And I need another part of a foam square in order to make this work. I cut you apart. I know I did. Stay. Okay. This one's going to go on this little guy up here, and I'm just tucking him underneath, kind of underneath this wool. So he's not as noticeable, but that's okay. All right, now I'm going to take the feet, the legs, and I'm just going to add adhesive on one side, one end of these. Now, if you are excellent at paper piecing and you're looking at these guys and you're going, what in the world is she doing? I'm sorry, but this is the best I can do. I think they're kind of cute, but you might be able to do better than I can, and that's okay. We all have our talents, right? So when you add these little feet, keep in mind But the ones on the far side of the body are going to be slightly shorter than the ones that are closest to you. So you don't want them all four to be the same length. You want a couple that are longer and a couple that are shorter, kind of in every other one situation. And I just sort of start the first one where you would expect a front leg to be, and then make the next one maybe a little shorter or a little longer. I usually go shorter. So the leg that's in front is the one that visually is closest. But also keep in mind that people know that this is a paper lamb. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just fun. Okay, now I'm going to grab my dual tip pen and we're just going to make some hooves on his feet and give him an eye and a nose. And so to make the feet, I just kind of go up about 1/8 of an inch and kind of go in with like the top of a heart shape, and then fill it in with my pen. And if you want, if you are visiting Ireland and you decide you want to make some sheep, you could make a blackface sheep. They are, there's a special name for the blackface sheep, and I'm sorry, but I'm drawing a blank about that. On the last day of our tour, we actually got to go and watch a sheep herding dog do his work, and that was fascinating. Those pictures are going to be fun to share with you when we get that far. So you may see this sheep again. And if any of you have suggestions on other ways to make a sheep, I would love to know what you suggest, and we could try that when we do those pages. Because there again, most of the paper piecing that I do is strictly experimental. Um, I have become braver at paper piecing and figuring out how to use my punches to create other things. I'm much better at doing it now than I used to be, and that's simply because I've experimented and because of Martha Murray, who is a fantastic CM advisor. And through the CM Sisters virtual events, and if you're not familiar with their virtual events, they're super fun. I would be happy to give you more information about those if you're interested. They do a virtual event 3 times a year, and Martha is a fantastic paper piecer, and she has shared many an idea with us as we have been in her classes. And I've become braver because of Martha. So, just so you know, I have. They need a tail. I don't know why that's just occurring to me that they need a tail. But we should do some kind of a tail. Let me just cut. I'm just going to kind of follow the curve of this punch and make a couple of tails. I don't know why that didn't occur to me before, but it didn't. it truly didn't. There's a couple. Oh, and we need this last little one right here. How's that? I don't know, guys. I'm sure that you're questioning my abilities now. Okay. Make this guy's kind of go up. All right, let's take a look at this page and see about embellishing. And where we're going to put our rock star sheep. Okay, so here are our pages. I do have a few extra photos over here in case you're curious. These are going to go into a peekaboo pocket, but I didn't want to take the time to do the peekaboo pocket with you today. So just some other photos. There's my mom feeding the sheep, and Emily and her crutches petting the sheep that I was holding, and here's my sister feeding the sheep. You could see they were super excited and kind of crawling all over each other to get to the bottles of milk. And there's my son Michael and the lamb that he was holding. They were surprisingly soft. I know, lambs will normally is soft, but I don't know. I just thought that they wouldn't be quite as soft. So they've got an embellishment here, and one down here, and they've put a title above this. I don't know that I really need to put a title because I've got this over here, which kind of serves as the title for the page. But we could do, I do still think we should probably do some kind of embellishing down here and something probably right about there, and then something maybe in the middle here is where I would put them, right in there. So what I need are just some extra stickers that we could add to our lambs, make them look cute. There's all these little farm animals. I've got other lambs that we could use if we want to go that route. We could say visit to the farm. I don't know. I'm not going to put fresh air and sunshine because really there was not a lot of sunshine, but we could add this pretty flower since we have other flowers going on this page. We could add this flower maybe down here. And we could add this cute little lamb. Let's see, what else do we have? We just do some other flowers. They're not quite the same style though, so maybe we could do happiness is not a destination, it's a way of life. We could do some other, let's see. that. And maybe we'll add the, oh dear. His head is kind of not super stable in there. I didn't realize that I had not stabilized him. Maybe we'll add that flower in there. Like that. Since the stickers are plenty sticky, I'm not too worried. But I am going to add just a little bit on the back of that lamb just to kind of help him out just a little. I'll put that down here. I don't know if we'll add this lamb after all, because he doesn't look the same as my other lambs, so he might look a little bit odd. Stick out funny there. We could use this little bucket though, and we could add some chickens, maybe. Although there weren't any chickens, but we could add some chickens. Okay, let's see. This guy down here. Have a little chick with him. I'm not going to put the barn, although the barn would be really nice, but I'm thinking that it's not the right style. It doesn't really go with, the all the stone work that's around here. So maybe not. But we could do these little fences. And I have to poke out the center part of the fence. Do a little fence behind the chicken. We'll do this. It says making memories. Right, and we'll put our little lamb on top. Do like that. Stay on their fence. The fence is not wanting to stay on there. Okay. Making memories. Just like that. All right, I think that's going to do it for us today. We could journal anywhere that there's blank space. So we could journal here, I could journal here, I could journal in the yellow area, or I could hide it underneath a photo if I want to. So lots of different places to put the journaling. I like this layout. I like the sketch that we followed to do this layout. I think it turns out really, really nice. So there's our sketch. And hopefully you've already done sketch number 3 for April. And we're going to move on to the May virtual crop sketches and do actually we're going to do a project recipe out of the 52 project recipe books next time, but we'll be getting to the May sketches right away. And um, and yeah, they look really cute, so I think that's going to be fun. Thanks so much for joining me today. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your day.